Very good morning, everyone.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Morning, ma'am.
Okay, only 24 students have joined in. In the meantime, let me share my PPT with you. I hope everybody is clear with non-verbal communication and there are no doubts or queries or questions. Yes, any doubt, any query?
No, ma'am.
No, okay, fine. Then I shall give you a quiz.
Ma'am,
Yes.
have you shared yesterday's PPT also?
No, yesterday's PPT I have to yet share.
Okay.
I told you I have to add a video to it. So once I do that, I will share it. Okay. So I've shared the link in the chat box. If you're not able to log in through this link, then please go to joinmyquiz.com and use the code that you see 701648. 701648 is the code. Yes, please hurry up. 29 students have joined in. "41 students are there. Are you facing any difficulty in joining the quiz?
No, ma'am.
Why do you sound so sleepy today? All well?
Me, ma'am?
Yeah, Vihan.
Oh, yeah, it was
Just
really
woke
hot at
up?
night. It was really hot at night, so I woke up a bunch of times.
Okay. So this quiz should enliven your spirits, rejuvenate them.
Yes, ma'am.
36 students. I will begin the quiz once it's like 41 students. Okay, Sumaya. I'm sharing the link of the class also in case some students are not able to join. Please quickly join the quiz. Go to the chat box and there you can see the link. And the code is 701648.
Ma'am, have you shared the link?
Yes, it is in the chat box. And even if you cannot log in to the link, you can go to joinmyquiz.com. And I've shared my screen also. You can see 701648 is the code that you can use. 42 people have joined at the moment.
Ma'am, what's the code?
The code is 701648.
Okay, ma'am.
I can see 42 people have joined.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, the quiz just got stuck in between.
Or just refresh it, but because the quiz is still going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, just refresh it. So, okay, now 45 players are there, I can see.
Ma'am, I'm having some network issues, so my answers aren't saving.
Oh, okay, you can maybe log in again or just refresh it.
Yeah, ma'am, I'll try.
Wow, you people have been quite quick in completing the quiz. Good. Danya, okay.
Excuse me, ma'am, I was not able to answer any question, and
Why?
now neither have I still been. I don't know, it's some connection issues. I'm trying to
Ma'am,
refresh
can
it.
I
It's
get the
showing
quiz now?
Beta,
it's
go
it's
into
showing
go to joinmyquiz.com and use the code that you see on the screen. Okay. Sorry, I'm so sorry. Yes. So you can log
ma'am,
in
it's showing
again.
that we were. Yes, ma'am, I'm trying that, but I don't know.
Okay, this was an interesting quiz. Actually, this would have actually given you a very good idea that you know how much clarity you have of the topic. Not very
I'll
complex.
try, ma'am.
Just try if you can. It's a very interesting quiz. You have variety of questions that are really interesting.
Ma'am, 100% accuracy.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Congratulations for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, from 39th position, I came 13.
Okay, that's good. It has to do with your timing also, actually, you know. Apart from your accuracy of the questions, the timing also matters. Many of you seem to have completed the quiz. Who is SY? And who is S? How am I supposed
I am
to?
able to answer the quiz only. I answered one and other was wrong. I don't know why.
Sumaya,
No, ma'am, Rama.
Rama, what happened?
Ma'am, and quiz stopped in between.
It must be some connectivity issue, Rama. You just refresh it, maybe.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Try and refresh it. If you're not able to complete the quiz, don't worry. I will share the link of this quiz again and you can do it later on. I'll make it student based. Once you seem to have logged in twice, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think for the moment I will close the quiz. It's showing 83% accuracy and that's wonderful. Good. You can see the top 5. I am ending the quiz. I will show you the link again. I will share the link with you again later. Okay, so Aryaman is third, Shivansh is
I didn't completed
first.
the quiz.
It's okay, beta. Don't worry. I will share the link again, okay? Because I had to. It's a long quiz and it will take a lot of time. If I wait, then it will consume the entire class. Right? So that was wonderful. Nice, good result. You seem to have understood the concept of non-verbal communication and I'm happy about it. So today I'm going to again cover 2 topics with you, or maybe 3. These are short, small topics, not very detailed one, related to again team building and leadership only. Of course, in general as well. Today, actually, there is some serious connectivity issue. Even the team is behaving a little erratically. Akshit Tyagi, nobody can remove you from the meeting. Everybody is an attendee. It must be some connectivity issue. Please log into Peer Deck. I've shared the link. Now that's weird. There were 51 people attempting the quiz and only 48 attendees in the class. Please log into Peer Deck.
Ma'am, I did twice.
Okay. Okay. Quickly log into Peer Deck, please. Okay, have you logged in, all of you? 30 students connected. Okay, fine. So I think we're good to go. So can you see the slide, or is there any problem anybody's facing?
Ma'am, barriers on effective listening?
Yes, yes,
Yes, ma'am, yes.
barriers, barriers. Okay, I'm going to share a small clip with you and then begin with the lesson as usual. Can you hear it? Is it audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Riley and I going to the moon! Riley can't be done with me.
Hey, it's gonna be okay. We can fix this. We just need to get back to headquarters. Which way to the train station?
I had a whole trip planned for us.
Hey, who's ticklish, huh? Here comes the tickle monster. Hey, Bing Bong, look at this. Oh, here's a fun game. You point to the train station and we all go there. Won't that be fun? Come on, let's go to the train station.
I'm sorry they took your rocket. They took something that you loved. It's gone. Forever.
Sadness. Don't make him feel worse.
Sorry.
It's all I had left of Riley.
I bet you and Riley had great adventures.
Oh, they were wonderful. Once we flew back in time. We had breakfast twice that day.
Sadness.
Sounds amazing. I bet Riley liked it.
Oh, she did. We were best friends.
Yeah.
I'm okay now. Come on. The train station is this way.
Dettol disinfectant spray.
Okay, so what did you observe? What did you notice in here? Yes, yes, Divyam.
Ma'am, while the happiness was trying to cheer the elephant on, it did not work because what the elephant actually needed to do was to vent and to express his feelings, to actually move on and feel better, which sadness allowed him to.
Okay. Okay. Great. Good. Yes, Vihan.
Ma'am, I think sadness empathized, which is why it made a
Hmm.
elephant feel better.
Okay.
Whereas Joy didn't have the same.
Yeah, but why do you think so? Why this difference? Because both were trying to kind of, not leave the elephant alone, but why the impact of the first one, the first individual was not there, and the sadness was more successful.
Elephant wants someone whom he can share his feelings.
Hmm. Okay.
You should sometimes vent out your feelings.
Yes.
The second character allowed the elephant to vent out his feelings so that he
Hmm.
felt much better after crying.
What did the
So
first
sometimes
one
it's
do?
important.
What did the
Some
first one?
The first one tried to avoid the situation where the elephant would make it awkward, and
Mm-hmm.
she wanted to just cheer him up and
Mm-hmm.
wanted to avoid the situation.
Yeah, but even she was trying to help him out. No.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Vihan. Yeah.
The way was different.
The way was different. The way was different. So that's what exactly I'm asking you. What was the difference in the manner of sadness and in the way the two tried to pacify the elephant? Vihan, you mentioned empathy, right? So empathy was working in the second case. What happened in the first case?
Ma'am, in the first case, it was just, as in the intent was the same to try to
Hmm.
make the elephant feel better, obviously.
Hmm.
But for someone who doesn't understand someone else's pain, it's very difficult for them to be able to fix it.
Hmm.
And since Joy was only happy and has never experienced sadness in any form,
Hmm.
it was impossible for her to help him.
Okay, good, good. Yes, Aditya.
Ma'am, sometimes letting your emotions out is the way to feel better. So that's
Yes.
what this sadness did.
Yes, and sadness could kind of correlate to the situation, like Vihan rightly said, when we talk about empathetic listening. Actually, there are different types of listening. I'll come to that. And this is also your empathetic listening is what extends into the social listening, right? It is very, very important for us to be effective listeners, good listeners that, we talk about the four basic skills: communication skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, LSRW. So there is a reason why listening comes first. There is a reason why God has given us 2 ears and one mouth to speak. Listen more and speak less. But in today's world, in today's context, what do we end up doing? We have 2 ears, all right, but we don't use them to listen more. Our most of the times our response is more like we listen from one ear and we let it out from the other one. We have more speakers because there is so much of talk about voice, raising your voice. We want to be heard. All of us want to be heard. And in this chaos, or in this struggle or fight for being heard, for raising your voice, we are left with very few listeners around us. And there is a difference between listening and hearing. Is there any difference between listening and hearing, anybody? It's not necessary that if I say there is a difference between listening and hearing, there has to be a difference between the two. But yes, there is a difference between listening and hearing. What is it? Yes, Parth.
Listening, we actually interpret what the other person is trying to say, but while in hearing, we just hear it from one ear and it out of the other.
Yes, very true. Very right. So listening is a more active activity process and hearing is a passive process. Listening is two-way. When you listen, you respond, right? In any way, verbal, non-verbal. But when you're hearing, you might respond and you might not respond, or your response might be not as expected, right? For example, some of you are listening to my voice, to what I'm saying. For others who are listening to anything but me, for them my voice is just an extra sound or extra noise that is falling on their ears and they cannot avoid it. They can't avoid it, right? So at the moment you're sitting in your room, the fans are on and you are listening to me. So rattling of the fan, that sound, that noise you are hearing, it is falling on your ears. There is environmental noise around you. It's sound around you. It's falling on your ears. But if you're paying attention to me, then you're listening to me and you're hearing that noise. You just can't do it. Do away with it, right? So there is a difference between listening and hearing. Listening is a two-way lane always, right? Listening always entails response. It is always very well thought out, right? But if we are talking about listening and hearing, we are trying to differentiate between the two. It means that there is something really very critical about this entire process of listening. We talk about active and passive listening also. And then we also talk about different types of listenings. We say that listening is active, listening is attentive, but there are different types of listenings also, because at a particular, at a given moment or given time, we cannot pay 100% attention to everything happening around us. So we have different types of listenings, and the moment I mention it, you will be able to relate to it. For example, we have the focused or the selective listening. Any idea what is focused or selective listening? Yes, focused or selective.
Ma'am, selective is we listen only what we want to.
Yes,
We pick up
wherever you want to pay attention to.
Yes.
Right. For example, busy doing your work and you hear somebody mentioning your name and immediately you will start paying attention to that conversation because something which you feel is important or is of consequence to you has been mentioned. That is selective or focused listening. We end up doing selective or focused listening even in the class, right? I raise my pitch, my voice a little bit, and all of a sudden you will be back in the class paying attention to what I'm saying, or that, maybe there is a question coming next. Then we have superficial listening. What is superficial listening?
It's similar to hearing, ma'am.
Yes, very good. Yes, Aditya?
Ma'am, just listening from the, like the main points, listening like the main points only.
No, not main points.
I'm from
that
the
will be
top.
selective, focused. It will be pretending, the pretense to listen, like he said, hearing. You just pretend to listen to somebody. That is superficial listening. You're not listening to, like when you get scolded. So a stage comes when the voices are just falling on your ears. You're not listening to what is being said. It's just a pretense working over there. You kind
You are
of
waiting for it to end.
Yes, you're just waiting for it to end. You're insulating that entire, all the voices around you, right? Or while you're in the class, you're looking at the teacher who's teaching you, but you're lost elsewhere. But your attention is fixed there. So you're not looking at the teacher, you're looking through the teacher. You're elsewhere. That is superficial listening. That is pretending to listen. Many of in today's technological era, and with these mobile phones playing all the havoc that they can, superficial listening has become a big problem because you're talking to people with the phone in your hand. While you're fidgeting with your Facebook or your Instagram or WhatsApp, the other person, and you're just using those non-word, right? You're just pretending to listen. Yeah, I'm listening to you. I'm listening to you, but half of the conversation or the messages is just, you're just losing it out. You're not paying any attention. You're not paying full attention to it. And listening doesn't happen through the ears alone. It happens through your eyes also. For effective listening to take place, you have to make eye contact with people. And all these points that I'm discussing, you just start correlating these points with a manager or with a team leader, and you just start imagining that situation that if you have a boss, or if you're a boss, you're talking to them and they're not making eye contact with you, how will you feel? You feel insulted, you feel belittled, right? Or this is a non-verbal strategy used by people who want to cut short the conversation or They don't want to pay heed to you. They don't want to listen to you actually. So they will, you keep talking to them, you keep requesting them, whatever your case is, you start discussing them, they will be busy in the work, not making eye contact with you at all, or maybe nodding now and then, and there will be simply no response, right? So we talked about selective or focused listening, then we have superficial listening, then there is empathetic listening that we just saw an example, when you place yourself in other person's shoes. So when a person is sharing something with you, you actually feel that situation and you make that person comfortable enough to talk his heart out to you. Then we have attentive listening. What is attentive listening?
It's the opposite of superficial.
Yes. So you pay 100% attention to whatever is being discussed, whatever is being said by the other person is attentive listening. Then we have evaluative listening. Evaluative listening.
Evaluate what is being said hand to hand.
Yes. What is there any difference between attentive listening and evaluative listening? Sudiksha? Yes, Sudiksha? Sudiksha Sharma?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any difference between evaluative listening and attentive listening?
Yes, ma'am, there is. In evaluating listening, you are kind of drawing out a result, or you are, if you're talking to a person in general, you are judging them, helping them, or criticizing them. And in attentive listening, you are just listening and helping them. You're not placing your point of view. You're just
Yes.
listening to it.
Yes, you know, sometimes it is important not to judge. Sometimes it is only important to pay attention and
I
listen.
have a best friend. She is my
Yes.
best friend, and she's very good in singing. So whenever I have a piece that I want to get evaluated, I go to her, and she's very friendly, and she gives me a good response without making my feelings hurt. So that I would say is evaluating listening.
Okay. So because she doesn't hurt your feelings, do you think that is evaluative listening?
No, ma'am, but she's really truthful. It's not like she,
Okay.
lies.
Yeah.
Um,
Then it is evaluative listening. Yes, of course. Right. So that is evaluative listening. I thought that she doesn't criticize you, hence you are labeling it as evaluative, and hence a nice way of listening to you. Your best friend will always be your worst critic, and if you have friends around you who don't criticize you, then they are not your friends. They are your biggest enemies. You have to have people around you who can tell you on your face where you are wrong, right? And if people keep telling you,
Yes.
no, you're very right, you're good, great going, then something is amiss, right? So good, Sriksha. Nice, very nicely explained. So evaluative and attentive listening, you pay attention. For example, some of you, just a handful of students resort to evaluative listening in the class. Some of you resort to attentive listening. You pay attention to what is being said and you absorb it as it is. It is a gospel truth coming from a teacher, so it has to be taken as it is. Others evaluate it. You weigh it, you analyze it, you interpret it, you rationalize it. And then if you have any queries or doubts, you question that idea. That is evaluative listening. And it is very important. And you can do that only when you have some knowledge or some idea about that topic, or you are actually trying to pay attention and uh, trying to assess it. And then we have appreciative listening. Any idea what is appreciative listening? Parth Batra? Parth Batra? Yes,
Hello,
Divya.
hello,
Yes, Parth. What is the
hello.
question, Parth?
Yes, ma'am. What is appreciative listening, right?
What is appreciative listening, Parth?
Ma'am, when we hear someone and appreciate for what talking or someone about what he's talking.
Good. Yes. Yes, Vansh.
Ma'am, when we like or dislike, whether we like or dislike others' opinion, we just appreciate it without
Okay.
criticizing.
That's another interpretation, another example. Good. Yes, Divyam.
Ma'am, maybe it's when we listen to some kind of art which we can appreciate, like music or poems.
Yes, that's one another example. You listen to music because you like something about it. That is appreciative listening. Yes, Vihan.
It's when we're listening to look for certain information and and then appreciate that information and help
Yes.
however the information
Yes.
pertains to.
Yes.
Ma'am, you
When
look for
it's
the
yes, Yuvraj.
ma'am, you look for the good points in someone's
Yeah, something.
conversation.
Yes,
You pick
something
out
that
good
you liking
things
it.
instead of criticizing the thing. You pick out good things from the
Good things.
conversation.
Right. Yes, Parth.
And just you guys said.
Okay, so that is appreciative listening when we are actually, when you listen to somebody, some person, or some, like you said, some piece of music, and you like something about it. You listen to certain songs because of the rhythm, because of the beats, sometimes because of the lyrics, other times because of the voice of the person, or you like to listen to, the TED Talks are very famous. The TED Talks, they are about appreciative listening also, right? They are evaluative listening also. And we all of us, we resort to all of these different types of listening at different point of time. All these different types, it's not that all you fall in one category or the other. Given a particular situation, you resort to different types of listenings, and that is why we come across certain barriers in communication. So certain physical barriers because we've already studied, so it won't be difficult for you to correlate. Discomfort, noise, bad lighting, lack of eye contact, bad sound quality. These can be some of the physical barriers. Okay, tell me, how can bad lighting be a barrier in good listening?
And facial expressions, we are not able to see the facial
Yes,
expressions.
yes. You're not able to see the facial expressions, and facial expressions, do they play an important role? They play a very, very important role in communicating a message and in also making an assessment whether or not the other person is understanding what you're saying. For example, in the classrooms, a teacher, after having clarified a concept, may ask you again, have you followed? The facial expression of the students is enough to give the person a hint that whether or not that particular topic has been understood well by the students or not, right? So bad lack of eye contact is a big barrier in effective listening. You don't make eye contact, it means you're not paying attention. Sometimes when you're tired or you're sleepy, like this is the 9:15 class, some of you may be sleepy, and because of that laziness, you're not able to pay 100% attention. Or personal barriers, like when we talk about the psychological barriers, see, lack of listening preparation, you're not ready to listen to the person. Sometimes this readiness has to do with that, okay fine, you have to make certain, you had to be ready with certain things, but you were not ready on time, and the lecture or the speech or whatever the session has begun, and you're just settling. So what is happening, you're not prepared to listen completely, and hence you miss out the information. Or mentally you are not listening, I'm just not going to listen to you, you're not ready to listen to me at all. Fine, I have decided, there is a preconceived notion, I have made a prejudgment in my mind, and I don't want to listen to what you have to say, right? Disorganized messages. Now, if your message lacks coherence, coherence means connectedness. There is the smooth flow, logical flow of thoughts and ideas. Again, you will not be able to pay attention to what the person is saying. Why? Because the thoughts will be unclear, there will be confusion. So how long will you try to understand what and clarify the confusion? A stage comes when you give up, right? Personal preferences, like I said, personal choice, you like to listen to people, you might not like to listen to them. Biases and prejudices, biggest barrier in effective listening. if I have certain biases, if I am afflicted with certain prejudices, come what may, you talk to me for 1 hour, you talk to me for 2 hours in the best possible words that you use, I will not understand your viewpoint. And this becomes a big problem in the workplace situation when a leader or a team member that you're working with, you know, is not you're not able to communicate your ideas or thoughts to that person, because that person has certain barriers, has certain biases and certain prejudices, and the person is just not able to overcome it, right? We have I think we've discussed cultural barriers and socio-psychological barriers, how these barriers, when they come into play, people are just not able to understand you. Multitasking, when you're doing many things at a time, obviously some point or some or the other information will be lost. Selective attention we've already discussed. So these are some of the bad listening practices. What do you mean by interrupting somebody, distorted listening, eavesdropping, aggressive listening, narcissistic listening? Please explain one at a time. Let's begin with the last first. What is narcissistic listening? These are bad listening practices. Like we talk about bad practices in effective listening. What is narcissistic listening? Anybody who has heard of Narcissus?
Someone who's self-absorbed.
Self-absorbed. He fell in love with his own image, own reflection in the water, and Narcissus. And he so much fell in love with his own image that he started pining for himself. Only that, you know, he wanted to uh, want himself, and he couldn't. He was so self-absorbed. So narcissist effect, or we refer to somebody as being narcissistic, who's too much into self-love, self-indulgent, self-absorbed. So what is narcissistic listening, Vihan?
Someone who only listens to compliments, maybe.
Yes, yes, that's exactly. You only like listening to good things about yourself, or what you feel is good. That is narcissistic listening, just about yourself. You're so self-absorbed, right? Aggressive listening, I think it is self-explanatory, but then still, anybody who would like to explain what is aggressive listening? Nibir?
Yes, ma'am.
What
Aggressive
do you
listening,
think?
ma'am. I have no idea. Means, ma'am, when you get aggressive while
Hmm.
in the middle of a conversation, while listening to other person.
So what happens then?
Mm, mm, I don't know.
What happens? I'm sure many of you must have come across this situation. Yes, would
Yes,
anybody
ma'am.
like to
But
yes?
We lost
uh,
the main points which we
Yes,
discussed.
Vihan?
Ma'am, it's listening for certain information that you can use against someone who gives you that information. A bit like, for example, in a company, if a boss asked
Hmm.
um, his employee, I don't know, any specific employee for his ambitions, and then just listen to them so that he could make fun of them, or
That's one interpretation, and I will completely accept it. That's one. And what has been given by Nibir is also acceptable. Aggressive listening is when there is a lot of maybe aggression within you, and with that fire within you, with that aggression, with that anger within you, when you listen to somebody, that listening will never be a very effective listening. You because
Fruitful.
that yes, it will not be fruitful. There will always be misinterpretation of facts and situation. You will find those meanings in the sentences and the words which maybe do not exist or are not intended, right? So that's so it can be interpreted in multiple ways. Eavesdropping, I think that's what each one of you understand. Never ever eavesdrop, never overhear what other people are saying or talking. It's bad particularly when you get caught right? So distorted listening, when there are certain filters working, right? You absorb information, and on the basis of your past experiences, your personal experiences, you interpret that message the way you want to interpret it, and then pass on that distorted message. Interrupting is, I think, we've been taught since we were very young, never ever interrupt a person when that person is talking, speaking to you or somebody else. So that is really bad a practice. This is something you'll be taught even when you maybe graduate also. When you start working in the offices also, you will have certain workshops on effective listening, and this will be a very critical part of that. So having gone through the different aspects of listening, so what do we understand by critical listening and social support? See, this is the process of listening that when we talk about how listening happens, we receive the signal, we interpret it, we recall and correlate certain information, we evaluate it, and then we finally respond. What kind of social support are we talking about? When we talk about the correlation between effective listening and social support, it has to do with emotional support. When you, like we watched in that video, somebody just needs an emotional support. Psychologists, counselors, why it is a thriving business today? Because people are really stressed. They just need somebody who can listen to them. Somebody, they can just vent their feelings out. They don't even want your advice at times. They just want you to listen. And this is what counselors do. They just listen to you for hours and hours together at a stretch at times. Advice. Sometimes we are not able to take decisions. So we want somebody who listens to us, evaluates our situation, and is able to give us a sound advice. Sometimes you want to share some information. You have written a research paper, like Nibir also shared with us. You've written something and you just want that person to hear it out. You want to share that information. Maybe it's something that's very interesting. It is something that is a happiness, sort of, you want to share with something and maybe take feedback also on it, right? So that is the kind of informational social support that we seek. Instrumental social support, anybody who would like to try explaining what is instrumental social support? What do we mean by this? Vihan, you raised your hand, I think maybe for a previous point.
Ma'am, I mentioned it already.
Okay, yes. Anybody? It's easy to explain the easy points. Take up the critical one. Yes, Vansh?
Maybe when some people feel relieved by doing a particular activity or something.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes. How do you
ma'am, when you
correlate it?
work as an instrument to provide. Hello?
Yeah, please complete your thought. Yes. You're going on the
Ma'am,
right track, almost. Yeah.
when you work as an instrument to provide someone a social support, like if they need a job, kind of a job,
Hmm.
and you work in that particular office, so you
Hmm.
just vouch for them that here's a person I know. You're
Yes.
not
Okay.
providing them
That's
a
a wonderful
financial support,
example.
any kind of support, but you are pitching for them,
Yeah, you're
helping them
pitching for them, and you are
where
instrumental.
you can. Yes,
Yes, you
ma'am.
play a pivotal role in somebody's life.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, and that's a wonderful example that you have given to substantiate this particular point. Yes, Vihan.
Ma'am, I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's when you help someone with something that's physical that they can obtain or something they need.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it means. So you play a very significant role. You're very instrumental in getting the other person meet the ends or fulfill the needs or the requirement of the other person. So when we talk about components, what gets into critical listening, or how to get into the mode of critical listening, it is important that you pay attention to every part of the message, and every part of the message means verbal and non-verbal both. You have to observe the body language of the person. You have to pay attention to the non-verbal cues being left by the speaker. And then in the Context of that, you need to assess and analyze the message, the choice of words, the sentence construction, the point of view, and then evaluate the message. Evaluating, analyzing means interpreting it, and evaluation means passing a judgment over it, right? Critical thinking is very, very important. It's not just emotional thinking that is required, but critically you have to be very objective also, and subjective in the sense that the other person feels comfortable in speaking his or her heart out to you, but you have to objectively and critically think of what the other person is trying to communicate to you, and then you make mental judgments of the scenario, of the situation. For example, at this moment, some of you, not everybody, you are resorting to all of these aspects which are very important to critical listening. It is not easy to be a good listener. It is a skill and it is an art. It requires a lot of effort to be a critical listener, to be a wonderful listener, because we want to be heard most of the time, but we don't want to hear, we don't want to pay attention, or we don't want to listen to what other people are saying. Half of the time, the message is lost. Either we pay attention to the words and the expressions are lost, right? Or we are too much into the face of the person and the words are being lost. So that completion, paying attention to all the components of the verbal message and the non-verbal part of the message, it is very, very important to have a better understanding. You can never say you 100% understand a person, what the person is saying, because you really do not know how much is being truthfully, honestly being communicated to you. But to a larger extent, it can be done. And as a leader, you have to have excellent listening skills. Otherwise, you're going to be very poor in your leadership. It is a critical requirement of an effective leader. Oh, it's 10:14. So I will wind up my session here today. If you have any doubts, any observations, we can, on this particular topic, we can take it up tomorrow. So till that time, take care.